Hello, everyone. Welcome back to National Park After Dark. Today we have a very exciting episode.
Yeah, we're basically bullied into doing these. So welcome, guys.
From our audience.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not from you guys, from our audience.
Yeah. So
Not yet,
today,
at least.
yeah, not yet. Today we have the guys from Tooth and Claw. They hardly need an introduction because everyone is in love with you all. But for everyone who may be new, Tooth and Claw is an amazing podcast that we recommend all the time. And we love every single one of you. So Jeff, Mike, Wes, hello.
Well,
In that order?
Hello.
Is that the order in which you love us most, the least?
Yeah, probably.
That's okay.
That's how you're on my screen. So
Okay.
All right.
I was telling Danielle, I was like, 5 people is kind of a lot. Are you sure you want Mike? And she insisted we bring Mike still.
I did. I fought for you.
Could I have taken the day off somehow? I can still leave.
Nope, you're in it now.
Yep. So today we're going to do something a little different. It's a Monday episode, but we are going to do a Trail Tale version of Monday episode, but with a twist because we have all animal themed stories and each one of us will be sharing one. I tried to pick a different animal for everybody also, which was kind of hard.
Did you match it to us?
Yours for sure, I think.
Yeah.
I think mine's
personality.
birds, so me
No.
as well.
Yours is
Yeah.
not birds.
Oh, no, mine isn't. Mine's sheep. Just kidding.
I saw you gave Mike a boar, so it is. That's perfect for him.
I could not be more
Yeah.
excited.
I actually
get,
think I might
too
have done a
much
good
hate
idea.
for don't be a sheep. It's like sheep, like wild sheep are pretty cool. And always
They are
climbing
cool.
and
yeah, I like sheep.
Yeah. I don't know. I saw Silly Goose. I'm like, that's immediately going under Jeff's. And then, so I don't even know what the story is honestly about other than Silly
Me
Goose.
neither.
So. Okay, great. Does anyone prefer to go first?
Our listeners would think that I prefer to go first.
Okay.
But because of that, I'm not going to.
Wes refuses.
Yeah,
I
I'm
can
not
go
gonna
first.
All right.
Hold on. With sheep, if they're like so uncool, why are wolves always trying to dress up like them? Food for thought. We can go to you, Jeff.
That's a good point.
It's not a good point.
Well, we got 1 vote for and 1 against.
Wes hates sheep. All right.
I'm not a huge fan of sheep. Yeah,
Really?
that's true. I wouldn't say I
Really?
hate them, but like
Bighorn sheep?
bighorn sheep are cool. Yeah.
Are they
But
not sheep?
But when someone says sheep, that's not what pops in your head. You're not thinking of a bighorn sheep.
My best friend in high school did 4-H, and I used to have to go to like the 4-H events and
Yeah.
help feed her sheep and take care of them. And I second that they're not my favorite.
No.
Really?
Jesse
Okay.
told me today, we should get a meat sheep is what she called it. So it's like a sheep that you raise for a year and then eat. And
Oh.
I know for a fact that's not what would happen. Like we would end up with a lifetime sheep. And
Yeah,
so
because they're so
Life-
cool. You wouldn't be able
Lifetime.
to
no,
eat it.
we don't need a lifetime pet sheep.
It would be a lifetime pet sheep for like the next 10 years. How long do
Yeah.
they live? Do you know?
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
A
Too long,
lifetime
probably.
10-year sheep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say my friend had like 25 of them, and I saw these sheep like every day, and every day they acted like they had never met me or her who they lived
Yeah,
with.
they're not a
And-
smart animal.
Yeah, and they would trample us every time we would try to feed them. Like it was just, yeah.
Yeah,
We
I'll
fought for our
pass.
lives a few times
All
in
right.
that sheep pen. So
Okay, we're excluding all the sheep lovers, all
Yep.
5 of them
Get out of
there.
here.
I'm with them.
Okay, wait. Oh,
All
so
right.
Jeff, you're
Do
going
you
first?
want me to go? Okay.
If you're volunteering.
I got
sure.
some more sheep thigh if you want.
No, it's okay.
Okay. So this one's titled Goose Attacks. Hello.
Hey,
Hello.
I absolutely love the podcast, so thank you for doing what you're doing and making my long road trips between jobs a little more interesting.
you're very
My
welcome.
name is-
Yeah. Oh, also, yeah, I didn't edit out all the love for us. So
Okay.
this
you
is a
guys are
fun
just
way.
reading. the
You're
love
just
for
like
us.
giving us admiration, which is great.
Yeah, we need
Yeah,
it.
that is the best I've ever read a sentence, by the way, too. It's all
Yeah, that was
downhill
great.
from here. My name is Elena,
Solid start.
and I'm an interpretive park ranger in the North Cascades National Park this summer. So come say hi if you're in the area. What does that mean?
Interp rangers are like interp rangers are kind of the ones that just rove and do education and are like the rangers you'll bump into on like trails or boardwalks or around
Are
visitor
they
centers.
like yelling at people or not normally?
Sometimes. Yeah.
All right.
But they're not like law enforcement rangers.
They're not going to arrest you, but they'll
don't have to
give you a
listen to
stern talk.
But if you're getting too close to animals, they'll be like,
Yeah,
knock
they'll
it
tell
off.
you to back off. Yeah. I'm just
Okay.
kidding. You do have to listen to them.
Anyway, that's not where our story is taking place today. We're going to the White River National Forest in Colorado, and more specifically, the North Star Nature Preserve right outside of Aspen. Let's set the scene. It's early May, and my friends and I have just finished our winter season working in Aspen, and the weather's been warm and sunny lately, so we decided to bust out the paddleboards and have a nice little float down the nature preserve before we all part ways for the summer season. The portion of the Roaring Fork River we would go down is pretty close to the headwaters, but we knew this water was fairly calm and we knew we couldn't get off our paddleboards inside the nature preserve anyway. Needless to say, we had no intention of getting in this ice-cold water. Uh-oh. Something tells me they're getting this water. What do you think, Wes?
Yeah.
No, they didn't have any intentions, so I'm going to say they don't.
Yeah.
Well, let's find out. Everything is going smoothly, and we're having a lot of fun telling jokes and sharing stories from our season. You see a lot of interesting characters in Aspen. We turn around, and this bend, there's a large male goose in the middle of the river. My friend, who was born and raised in Aspen, was in front, and when he saw the goose, he decided to splash water at him. This was really funny at the time because this man had been on countless outdoor adventures living in Aspen his whole life, and he thought a goose would be afraid of water. Hilarious.
And I would have to say, like, for people picturing this is probably a Canada goose if they're in
Right.
Aspen. That's got to
Yeah.
be the species they're talking about. Yeah.
Afraid? Are they afraid of water, Wes?
No, they're pretty, I mean, they like water. But I think if you splashed water at one, it would be, like, aggressive enough it might scare it off still.
So you don't find it hilarious?
I don't think it was, like, a silly thing to do. No,
Yeah, you
but
think
it
that
is
would scare a
hilarious.
goose off?
It could, yeah.
All
Sure.
right. Well, let's see what happens. Once I looked up and saw what was happening, I realized the male goose was heading straight in my direction. I decided I'd stick close to the shore and give him plenty of space to go around me. What I did not realize was he was heading for the female goose who was sitting on her eggs next to shore. The same shore I decided to get close to. Okay, I think it's time for some backstory regarding my relationship with geese. I am terrified of them. When I was about 6 years old, there were some geese living around the pond at my grandma's property. We would see them pretty often, and I always tried to keep our distance. However, the male goose had no intentions of keeping his distance and would often walk up to the cars in the driveway. He would see his reflection in the cars and start getting really angry and territorial. This was all fun and games until we needed to actually use the cars. We would come up with ways to get around him, like everybody getting in the car on the passenger side, or even one person running into the car and moving elsewhere to pick everyone else up. As you can imagine, this got very old very fast. But that wasn't the final straw. One day I was playing on my little swing set, as toddlers do, and this goose was eyeing me. I was alone, and there was my grandma cooking dinner and would periodically check on me through the window. She called to tell me dinner was ready, and then she saw the situation I was in. The goose was right next to the swing I was on, and there was no way he wasn't going to attack me as soon as I got off. I asked my grandma what I should do, and she said I should make a run for it, and she'd close the door behind me as soon as I got inside. I saw no problem with this plan because I was 6 and afraid. I jumped off the swing and ran as fast as my little toddler legs would let me.
Is a 6-year-old a toddler?
I was just
I don't
thinking
think
that.
Yeah.
No.
A 6-year-old's a kid. That's
Yeah.
like
Like a
prime.
young
She
child.
could have toddler legs, though.
A toddler's
That's
like 2 or 3.
she didn't say
A
she was a
6-year-old
toddler.
toddler.
You're still
Maybe her
measuring by
legs-
months by then.
She
She's
had to,
72
like-
months old.
Her legs had to catch up with her.
Yeah.
I was not fast enough. The goose ended up biting the back of my leg. I still have a scar to this day. Wow.
Ugh.
I eventually made it inside, scarred physically and emotionally. Later that evening, my grandpa ended up shooting and killing the geese for messing with his baby girl.
Wow.
That's East Texas for you, though.
Oh.
I'm glad we got that backstory. I didn't read
Yeah.
Elaine's autobiography before recording this, so it's good to know.
Yeah, you gave the slowest reader like the longest story, I think. Okay, we're back on the Roaring Fork. I'm having fun now. We're back
Yeah,
on the
for
Roaring
sure.
Fork River in Colorado, and I'm 24 now, still deathly afraid of geese. I heard the hissing from the female goose behind me, and that's when I realized what was happening. I was too close to the female and the eggs, and the male goose was coming to defend them. I feel like it's always the person who's most afraid who puts himself in like the worst situation in all of these. I was too close to the female and the eggs, and the male goose was coming to defend them. I wish I could say I was able to just paddle away from them and everything was okay, but this is not the case. The female goose was within arm's reach of me, and at this point she stood up, wings open, ready to attack. So what did I do? I threw my paddle at her. I missed. And I jumped into the river, the freezing river. The one geese can very easily swim in. That's what it says.
The one
Yeah,
that
like the
geese can
water.
easily swim in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. This reaction was not very park ranger of me. I'm pretty sure I blacked out, and this was purely instinct. I swam over to my other friend and hopped on her paddleboard, fully panicking and cold. What I did not realize at the time, but my friends told me later, was that when I was paying attention to the female goose, the male goose was already lunging at me from behind. So she's getting it like velociraptors. If I would have stayed on the paddleboard for even a second longer, he would have bitten me. So maybe my instincts were on the right side this time. Who knows? I made our friend who was splashing the geese in the beginning go retrieve my paddle and my board. He was not thrilled, but ended up getting them successfully. The sun had just fallen behind the mountains, so it was getting cold fast, especially since I was wet. Luckily, we were close to the end, and I just tried to get to the car as fast as we could. I'm still traumatized, but at least I didn't get bit this time.
They have teeth, right, Wes? Like
They,
little.
so they
or
have
what are
what's called
they?
conical papillae.
Okay.
And it's like they're made of keratin, and they look like teeth, but they're not as hard or as sharp as teeth are. And it's just for like tearing up vegetation. So it's not, their bites aren't that bad.
Because she did say she still has a scar from one. I'm just trying to.
Yeah.
I wonder if the scar is from, because what they can do is like bite and kind of tear away, and that
yeah.
could like maybe open your skin. But from like everything I have seen and heard from people that own geese, it's more like a pressure bite than it is like a ripping, tearing bite.
Okay.
So you don't usually like have your skin getting broken or anything like that.
Okay.
Maybe like a kid has soft skin or something.
Yeah.
Because she was a toddler,
Toddler skin.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it finishes. I do feel that Canadian geese often get a bad rep for situations like this, even though this was fully my fault. I don't know if it's fully her fault.
It was the
I
guy's
do
fault.
love-
Yeah, he's the one who
Yeah, and then-
splashed and started
yeah.
this whole thing.
Yeah.
The goose did go straight at her. I do love all animals. Maybe geese just a little less. But I realized they have their own instincts, and I was just in the line of fire. I'm not sure if this will make it onto the podcast. I think it will.
Did. Yeah.
Enjoy the view, but watch your back because there might be a goose attacking you.
Jeff, that was some great reading.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good story,
Thanks.
Elena.
Yeah.
I got a little burnt out by the
No.
end. And that was, I
You're like, I
appreciate
gotta go
Honestly,
first. 'cause
10 out of 10.
I'm going to fade fast.
Gotta go lay down, take a break.
We did
I
a
think
goose
it-
Oh, go ahead.
I think it's fine to like hate a few types of animals.
sure.
Because if you love all animals, then like the really good animals don't get. It's like they're mixed in with the ones you don't.
That's
like.
my problem. Everyone's always like, you say every animal is your favorite animal. We did a goose subscriber episode, and I just want to say they are like, it's an intimidation animal. It's not, there's no like real danger from geese. A lot of people are afraid of geese, and there's those videos of them like flying at people and people stumbling over themselves to get away from them. I think your risk is so much higher getting hurt running from a goose than just like standing your ground and kind of taking whatever it is going to try and give you.
I mean,
just
they
my
do
2 cents.
a great job of intimidating because
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever been like, I don't know, maybe I have been attacked by a goose or whatever, but they do a great job.
They do. But if you stand your ground, like it's probably going to stop. And even if it doesn't, all it's going to do is like hit you with its wings and maybe nip at you. And it's going to feel like absolutely nothing. But if you run in a panic, you might break your ankle or like run into a car or who knows. So
Okay.
It is hard to just
or
like
go
not
through a
react.
glass window.
Yeah.
It
like,
is hard.
When I was in Guatemala as like a Mormon missionary, there's this little house that had just the biggest goose ever. And it would like always try to bite me when I was walking up the stairs. I could have easily fallen down those stairs.
Yeah.
Because it's like,
Domestic goose are different too, because they're like super habituated and can be a lot meaner.
What about
Yeah.
swans? I've heard that swans are really mean.
Yeah, it's the same thing though. Like it's not actually going to hurt you.
They
You're
just
going to get a
look
lot more
scary.
hurt running from it than you would just like handling it. So
So
grab
just
it by
stand
its
your
neck.
ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have such karate choppable throats. That's what
really
I
do.
perfect for a chop. Not like advocating animal violence, but if it comes to it.
I'll
It's
keep that
bluster,
in mind
though.
next time I get chased by
Okay.
a goose.
I don't know, Cat. The last thing we were chased by were wild horses, and Cassie freaked me the
Oh yeah.
fuck out. I was so
They're
afraid.
scary.
they chased you?
Well, that could kill
They
you.
weren't
like that's-
chasing
Thank
us. They were
you.
walking quickly behind us, and Cassie
It was a
literally
huge male
I'd be nervous.
Yeah.
That would make
That's
me
that was
scary.
nervous.
following
It wasn't
very close
chasing
behind
us.
us. It wasn't chasing us, but it was following us very closely, and I was walking very fast away.
She ended up running away. And
I didn't
like
run.
climb-
I walked fast.
You almost.
Yeah.
I had to jog, and then you went through a fence, and I was like,
I went to
think
the
should
other
do
side
this
of the
too.
fence.
Running from ungulates isn't a terrible idea, though. Sometimes they just want you like away from them. It's predators
you.
you don't want to run from, and then also don't run from a goose. I just want everyone out there just to picture yourself not running from a goose and just do that over. And that way, when one finally flies,
I can't
at
do
you,
it, Wes. I
you
can't
won't
imagine
run.
not running.
It is
Practice,
true that
train
like,
for it. When
Yeah.
it happens to you, you'll be ready.
like if you really think it out, like what's the worst thing that's going to happen to you
Yeah.
if you just stand there?
Yeah, it's
I
not going to be
guess.
bad.
How about bear spray? Blast a goose in the face with some bear spray.
That
That'll
would
work.
work.
Right?
I feel like Elena needs to defend herself now and send in a picture of her
I know,
scar,
right?
and then you can be the judge.
I don't, and like I don't blame anyone for being afraid of a goose coming at them because I've seen grizzly bears run from geese. Like they can be very intimidating. But I just want people to focus on you don't need to be intimidated.
Okay. All right.
You may have heard the statistic that we're eating approximately a credit card's worth of plastic every single week, which is really shocking. But here's the part that shocked me just as much. Most of us are cleaning with microplastics too, without even realizing it. Over 90% of parents are worried about microplastics in cleaning products, and for good reason. I try to be intentional about what I eat and what I put on my skin, but until recently, I hadn't thought about what's in the sprays and detergents that I use daily. That's why I've made the switch to Blue Land across all cleaning products around my house. Their products meet the highest standards of clean, they're effective yet gentle on my family and the planet. Blue Land was also named an EPA Safer Choice Partner of the Year. From cleaning sprays and toilet bowl cleaner to dishwasher and laundry detergent tablets, Blue Land's formulas are 100% microplastic free, made with certified clean ingredients, free from chlorine, bleach, and harsh chemicals that are safe to use around my family, my pets, my plants, and everything else in my house. I love not having to choose between the safe option and what actually gets my house clean. Blue Land was co-founded by a mom who wanted better for her family, and now their mission is helping millions of households do the same. They're not just gentle on your home, they've been independently tested to perform just as well as big name brands, and they're certified by EPA Safer Choice, EWG Verified, Leaping Bunny, USDA Bio-Based, and more. I love knowing that what's working hard to keep my home clean is also good for the planet and doesn't come with a side of plastic. Blue Land has a special offer for our listeners. Through July 7th, shop the July 4th sale and get up to 25% off. Blue Land has a special offer for our listeners. Right now, get 15% off your first order by going to blueland.com/NPAD. You won't want to miss this. blueland.com/NPAD for 15% off. That's blueland.com/NPAD to get 15% off.
Well, I can go next, I guess.
Let's hear
Okay.
it.
Let's go.
Mine is titled The Unexpected Company, A Thrilling Trip to the Outhouse.
Oh,
Yeah, they're always thrilling.
Mike had a thrilling trip to the house recently.
Oh, yeah. Every day a new adventure.
Do you care to share or do you want me
No.
to? Okay.
Do you care to let me share?
Baby. Yeah. Let's get through this one first.
We'll paywall that story if you guys want to hear that.
Okay. Yeah.
It'll be
All
on
right.
Tooth and Claw's Patreon.
Okay. Hi, ladies. Longtime listener here. When I had a chilling encounter with an animal this weekend, I knew I had to send in my tale. I'm from Lethbridge, Alberta, and this story takes place at my grandma's cabin out on some land near Cardston, Alberta, also near Waterton Lakes National Park. My husband, brother, cousin, and I decided to do a quick overnighter at the cabin last weekend. By the time we started driving out there, it was starting to get dark. The cabin is located quite literally in the middle of nowhere, down multiple dirt roads off the highway and through multiple barbed wire fences to keep animals out. In the winter, we usually have to hike in due to the massive snow drifts on these back roads. This trip, we didn't expect too much snow, so we decided to drive the truck all the way up to the cabin. As we were making the trip in, we plowed through a couple small drifts of snow, but nothing major. As we turned a corner, we saw a huge patch of snow, but thought we could still make it. My cousin was driving, hit the gas, and plowed through, but we quickly realized how deep the snow actually was. The truck high-centered, and after a good 30 minutes of trying to dig it out, it became clear it was stuck in the nearly 4 feet of powder.
Oh,
We
no.
weren't, I'm like, what? I also don't know when this was sent in, because it's 80 degrees here, and I know there's snow up there still, but I don't know. We weren't worried, though. My aunt was planning on coming out to the cabin the following day, so we planned on calling her in the morning to bring some gear to pull us out with her truck. We grabbed all our gear and made the short hike into the cabin. Once there, we got settled and sat around a bonfire for a couple hours. Around midnight, we decided to head in for the evening. The boys started grabbing some firewood to keep the fire going inside for the night, and I decided to make a quick trip to the outhouse before bed. The outhouse is located about 30 meters behind the cabin, down a short trail through the trees. As a child, I was always spooked by this trail, having to leave the safety and light of the cabin and wander into the dark forest alone. Which I think builds character. If you never have had to do that, it's why you're sensitive, you know?
Yeah. That's why all the problems in this country exist.
So it's why you're afraid of geese.
Yeah, right. I had a
Sorry,
headlamp on.
I like it. I feel like I'm being too mean to listen.
Yeah, stop picking on her. I had a headlamp on, but the batteries were dying and the light was very dim, so I grabbed a bright flashlight at the last minute. I walked down the trail, opened the outhouse door, checking for any bats or little critters that have sometimes gotten in before. All clear, so I shut the door behind me. I open the toilet lid and my flashlight shines onto the face of a huge animal staring right back at me, only
wow.
about 2 feet away from my flashlight.
What the heck?
All I could see before I slammed the toilet lid down in a panic were 2 huge green eyes, a very large head, much bigger than mine, with brown fur and a small snout.
Bigfoot.
It's gotta be, right?
Yeah.
what else could it be?
A black bear.
I stood there completely frozen, trying to figure out what to do. It was big enough that the only thing it could be was a bear or a cougar. I couldn't get a good enough look to tell for sure. I figured a bear couldn't possibly fit under the outhouse, so it was probably a cougar. There's a decent-sized hole in the ground at the base of the side of this outhouse to scoop out the you-know-what, which was how the animal got in. I was trying to hear if it had left or was still underneath me, but it was completely silent. Adrenaline was coursing through my body, and all I could hear was my heartbeat pounding in my ears as I stood there motionless, clutching my flashlight. It's like, just walk out of there. Like, why are you still standing in there?
Yes.
I don't know if there's that hole that it can come in and out. Maybe she's worried if she leaves.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, that it's not going to come out the toilet. Maybe.
Yeah.
I honestly think it's a little rude to not just go to the bathroom anyway. That bear obviously is waiting for you to
Mouth open.
give it some food
Ew.
or whatever.
Oh my God. Oh God. Okay. I figured if it was a cougar and it had slinked out from under the outhouse, it's possible it could pounce on me if I ran back to the cabin. I dreadfully remembered that our truck was completely stuck and we have no way out and have very patchy cell service. If I had gotten hurt, it would be a very dangerous situation. I felt safe in the outhouse with the door locked behind me, but felt a rush of terror course through me, realizing a huge animal was right underneath me and could easily do some damage to me once I opened the door, which I would have to do eventually. There was a small mesh window on the outhouse door, and I peered through it trying to spot the predator, but could see nothing. I knew lots of safety tips on what to do if it was a bear, but I wasn't so sure if it was a cougar. Should I just book it back to the cabin? Should I scream for help and be big and loud? The boys had finished gathering wood at this point, and we were inside the cabin. I knew my husband would come out eventually to see what was taking me so long, but I didn't want him to get too close if the animal was out there waiting.
She's usually in there for 45 minutes, but it's been like an hour.
I thought I had only been there for a few minutes, but later learned it had been closer to 20 of me just literally standing there, completely frozen. I saw someone come out of the cabin in the distance, and a light started walking towards me. Not wanting to risk someone else's life if this animal was out there waiting, I figured now was my chance. I fling open the outhouse door and sprint through the snow towards the cabin, not looking back. I flew past my husband, who was confused, and asked, "Are you okay?" I said, "No, get in the cabin quick." Once safe inside, I explained to everyone what I saw, and we were all trying to figure out what it was. "Are you sure it wasn't just a raccoon?" my husband asked. I would. Like, don't gaslight me right now.
Mansplaining.
Well, but she doesn't know what it was.
Yeah, but she just described like
A huge animal.
I know. And then a raccoon face in a toilet is going to be like this big, right?
They are pretty recognizable too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, "Are you sure it wasn't a mouse?"
I couldn't say for sure what I saw, but I knew it was much bigger than a raccoon. "It's a bear or cougar," I told him confidently. My heart finally stopped racing for some time, and we all drift off to sleep. In the morning, we all decided to go out to the outhouse and check for any scat or tracks. Not having anything to protect us, like a gun or bear spray, we made use of what we had, which were hot dog sticks and a hatchet. Aren't hot dog sticks like very thin?
It depends on how big the hot dogs are here.
That's right. Or are they metal? I'm thinking of just like, I guess, I don't know.
I think you
Yes.
could have metal ones. I wouldn't feel at all confident with a hot dog stick if there's a bear in an outhouse. So, yeah.
I stood back at the start of the trail, too scared to get any closer, watching as the boys slowly walked up to the outhouse and opened the door. My husband shouted out to me that the hole on the side of the outhouse was much larger than it was the last time he had seen it. My cousin slowly opened the toilet lid with the hot dog stick he was wielding, and with a flashlight in the other hand, peered inside. We didn't expect whatever it was to still be in there, but after several long seconds, I heard my cousin say, "Holy frick, bro, it's a bear." Who says frick? Holy frick. Holy
Did he
frick,
just-
it's a bear.
Did he just call his wife
Utah.
bro?
No, it was the cousin.
Oh, okay. I fell off there a little bit. Sorry.
Yeah, that would be a travesty. This approximately 300-pound bear had made the cozy underside of our outhouse into a den for the winter. He had dug deep down into the ground and made it bigger, along with the opening on the side that could now accommodate him to go in and out. The bear was completely silent once again, unbothered by the shocked faces peering down at him. The boys came running back to the cabin, all shocked to see the unknown animal I saw just feet away from me last night was indeed a massive bear. We left shortly after that, after another one of my cousins came out to pull out our truck. He also wanted to take a peek at the bear, and when he peered into the toilet, said, "Yep, that right there is a bear in the crapper, all right."
That's what Mike would say.
I don't talk like that. I've never said anything close to that in my life. Crapper?
I feel like
Who says
like
crapper?
you would do like your spangled tooth boar cat.
Oh,
like,
I guess.
voice
Maybe.
and-
If I'm putting
yeah.
on, okay.
What's that?
It's an animal Mike made up, but he says it so confidently that
Yeah.
people constantly wonder if it's a real animal.
Right.
But, yeah.
I lived in Georgia for a few years, so sometimes I put a little twang in the voice when I'm talking
Yeah.
about the Spangletooth boar cats.
Gotcha. Hopefully the bear just moves on once the warmer weather hits, but we will definitely need to seal up that huge hole it dug on the side of the outhouse to prevent our furry friend from setting up camp next winter. Needless to say, I now have a serious fear of outhouses and will be squatting in the trees from now on. Thank you for listening. I absolutely love the podcast and am thrilled to have my very own trail tale to tell from now on. I feel like that's probably one of the worst case scenarios for what's in the toilet.
It happens more than you might think too. Like there's a few stories of people getting bit while they're like going to the bathroom in outhouses by black bears.
Do you think that it was so kind of docile and unbothered because it was in some sort of hibernation or what?
I don't know. I have a hard time. Like it could have been hibernating.
On your roof, Wes?
Yeah, it just started raining.
I heard you like mute it and then just bring it right back.
You can hear it right now.
It's ambiance,
yeah.
Shoot, sorry, it just started pouring. It seems like it's going to be really quick though. Yeah, I have a hard time believing that it was like fully hibernating in there, but they will sometimes eat human excrement. Just like when food is hard to find, they'll go into outhouses and like eat some of our shit. And that's my guess is it was just in there like trying to get a easy winter meal. Sometimes black bears will wake up from hibernation and just look for food, and it probably found the outhouse and was like, oh yeah, I'll just dig into here for a little bit. It's possible it was hibernating in there if it's like not an outhouse that sees a lot of use, but I kind of think it was probably just looking for some food.
Where its head was like out of the hole right when she lifted the lid up.
Yeah.
I feel like it wasn't like groggy or anything.
Yeah.
It was
Right.
kind of like alert.
They can come out of their hibernation pretty quickly. Like it doesn't take long we call them very efficient hibernators because they can come out of it within a matter of minutes. But I agree with Jeff. It would take it a little bit longer to not be groggy and like be that kind of reactive. So I tend to think this one wasn't fully hibernating.
Yeah, it's kind of lucky for her that its head was like right in the hole. Because I feel like you don't like want to look down through the outhouse before you go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true.
So
it
like
could have bit her.
Could have bit her. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like imagining this listener at like Coachella or something where there's just rows and rows of outhouses, just freaked out of their mind.
She's like, I can't go back.
Serious fear of outhouses. I can't go to Bonnaroo this year. There's too many of them.
They have a reoccurring dream where an outhouse is chasing them around the kitchen table in socks.
Right.
I know it's not technically an outhouse, but remember that movie? It was like the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, but it was in India.
Oh yeah, Slumdog?
Yeah,
Slumdog Millionaire.
Oh, yeah.
That scene that he like goes into all the shit at the bottom of the outhouse to like retrieve. I have been changed after seeing that scene. I hate outhouses, and I know it's nothing like that, but it makes me like I could probably throw up right now even thinking about it. Something about human shit is just it sends me somewhere else.
So it affected you negatively. Like you don't like that scene. Okay.
Yeah. I too have a fear of outhouses from Slumdog Millionaire.
but nothing
like,
to
what
do
if I
with
just fall
bears.
in?
Right.
Yeah. But I have to go in there for something, you know?
Yeah, if you like dropped your phone in there, would you just be like, I'm getting a new phone?
For sure.
Yeah,
a bear
there's
probably
no
like
getting that.
drops their phone on purpose in the shit, and it's like, oops, gotta go back in the shit.
Oh my God. Okay.
This is an ad by BetterHelp. Workplace stress is everywhere right now. It's actually one of the leading causes of declining mental health, with 61% of the global workforce reporting higher than normal levels of stress. I know, I feel it some days too. That's why this summer, I'm trying to take small steps to protect my wellness. Sitting outside in the sun, going for a nice walk to clear my head, even setting tighter work boundaries. And while a vacation is nice, it's not a long-term fix. That's where therapy can come in. It's helped so many people learn how to cope better, manage stress, and feel more in control. whether they're dealing with burnout or just trying to be a healthier version of themselves. BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform with over 30,000 licensed therapists and more than 5 million people served. It's flexible, easy to schedule, and you can switch therapists at any time. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/NPAD. That's betterhelp.com/NPAD.
Well, who's up?
Wes, me, Wes. What do you want to do, Wes?
Mike, I think you.
Why don't you go? Sorry,
I'll go.
It
it's
hasn't
still
rained
raining.
in weeks here, and then suddenly there's just like a thunderstorm. It was bright blue skies when we started recording
Oh, it's a blessing, Wes.
minutes, but it seems like it's about to pass.
Okay, I'll go then. So the title of this story is Bored No More. BOAR''D. A little teaser for what animal we're talking about there, Jeff. You can take a guess. Hiya, ladies. Love the podcast. Boy, do I have a trail tale for you. That's probably they're talking to me there when they say boy. Do I have a trail tale for you? I've always been a fan of solo hikes. There's something about being alone in nature, just you and the trees, that makes you feel like you've discovered a hidden part of yourself. That's why I found myself alone one day in Titusville, Florida, standing at the entrance of the Enchanted Forest Sanctuary. It sounds magical. Ready to tackle what was supposed to be a peaceful, serene hike. You know, what can go wrong in the Enchanted Forest? Everything was perfect until it wasn't. The trail wound through thick palms and cypress trees, the sounds of distant birds and rustling leaves creating a calming atmosphere. I was in my element, taking slow, deliberate steps, feeling like a rugged adventurer, ready to conquer the wild. The air was thick with humidity, the kind of sticky, swampy air that you only get in Florida. But I didn't mind. I was in my zone. That's when I heard it. A low grunting noise coming from the trees behind me. I turned just in time to see a large snorting wild boar emerge from the underbrush. Now, I've seen my fair share of wildlife in Florida. Gators, raccoons, squirrels that look like they've been hitting the gym, but this was different. They do.
I didn't expect that last part.
Often go to the gym, yeah. This boar was built like a linebacker on steroids, and she was staring right at me. I froze. I'd heard stories about wild boars in these parts, how they could be aggressive, how they wouldn't hesitate to charge if they felt threatened. But surely, I thought, this is some kind of Disney-like encounter where the wild animal would just take a sniff and move on. Not this boar. Not this movie. She snorted again, louder this time, and turned her head to reveal something that made my stomach drop. What do you think? What do you think she saw behind this boar, Jeff?
It's enchanted, right?
Yeah.
Probably.
So it could be anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like a witch.
Yeah, probably. Well, let me keep
a
reading.
witch and
We'll
her
find out.
boar.
Yeah, right. We are in Florida, so anything's possible.
True.
Right. Yeah, a bundle of meth. In the bushes behind her were a handful of tiny wriggling baby boars. Baby boars.
Oh.
Oh,
Cute,
baby.
right? Until you realize
Yes.
the mama boar is standing between you and the exit. Suddenly, the baby boars weren't so adorable. I did what any sensible person would do in that situation. I panicked. I panicked in a very dignified, composed way, of course, but still, it was panic. My first instinct was to slowly back away, trying not to make eye contact like I was some kind of boar whisperer who understood the delicate balance of nature. Unfortunately, mama boar didn't get the memo.
Ah.
It's like my toxic trait is thinking that every animal will pick up on my good vibes and not attack me.
So far, so good, right?
Right. Yeah.
Maybe.
Except for that
this-
horse.
Yeah.
That wasn't my fault. I was not alone.
No.
And I have a video of that horse, and it's legitimately just walking behind us. Like, it couldn't be walking.
They didn't start
slower.
walking until we walked past it. It's probably
That's
my
how it
vibes.
starts, though. You know,
Yeah.
it's got to start somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have some alfalfa in your pocket or something? I'm not trying to victim blame, but
We had no idea wild horses were even present.
We
Yeah.
Googled, are there wild horses here?
after we saw
After
horses.
we were already there. Yeah.
That's cool.
You had to wait. Are there wild horses here? Is there
After
a
you
horse
saw them.
behind you?
Well, we didn't know if they were like, I don't know. We were going through
Got
everything.
sure.
with- Yeah.
I kept saying they were wild, but they were like, I think a few people were like, I think they just let their horses roam free here because we were in
Yeah.
Patagonia. And I was like, I feel like these are wild.
And she was
That's
right.
cool.
And I was
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Anyway, the boar.
Okay. The boar took one step toward me, her beady eyes locked onto mine. I tried to keep calm, but my body was betraying me. My heart was pounding like it was trying to escape through my rib cage, and my legs were moving in tiny, nervous shuffles that felt more like a bad imitation of a moonwalk than an actual retreat.
To actually moonwalk would be sweet. Isn't that like
Yeah.
Nick
If you were doing a
Miller
good
in New Girl when he gets in like a situation he doesn't want to be in?
Yeah.
And he just moonwalks out.
The boar would be dumbfounded. Then came the grunt, the kind of grunt that sends chills down your spine because you know it's followed by a full-on sprint. I didn't have time to think. I turned and started running. Now, I'm no sprinter by any means, but I figured if I could make it back to the entrance, I could wave down a ranger or at least find a tree to climb because, you know, wild boars can't climb trees, right, Wes?
That's true. They can't climb trees. It would be a good place to go if you're chased by a boar.
Yeah. Shakira should have. Was it Shakira who got attacked by a boar? She should have
Shakira
done
got
it.
attacked by him.
least-
Shakira's been attacked by like 3 animals. We
It's wild.
keep featuring Shakira in our stories.
Her vibes aren't great.
We should
Yeah.
get
No,
her
bad
on the
vibes.
show.
Bad
Yeah.
vibes.
Yeah.
I'm not Shakira. If you're listening, I like your vibes. Just putting it out there. I glanced over my shoulder and saw her charging after me. Back to the story. This is not me. This is not editorializing
not
by Mike.
you.
This is the story. Yeah.
Or Shakira.
Right. Neither one of us do. I glanced over my shoulder and saw her charging after me. Oh God, this is it, I thought. I'm going to be the person who gets mauled by a wild boar in Florida and ends up as a cautionary tale on the show. I took a sharp turn around a tree and dove behind it, hoping she would lose sight of me. But as fate would have it, the tree was not large enough to hide behind completely, and I could hear the boar's hooves getting closer. I imagine just like doing the sideways stand and you're like not quite thin enough to be like behind
Like
a
half
little...
your body is still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as fate would have it, the tree was not large enough to hide behind completely, and I could hear the boar's hooves getting closer. It was like a chase scene from an action movie, except instead of dramatic soundtrack, all I heard was my own panicked breathing and the rapid thumping of her hooves. Then, just as when I thought I was done for, something really unexpected happened. A small family of raccoons appeared further down the trail,
No way.
waddling along without a care in the world.
Oh no.
Oh, yeah. The mama boar, distracted by the presence of the little trash pandas, screeched to a halt.
Wow.
For a moment, it was like time froze. I could see the raccoons looking at the boar looking at the raccoons, and then me still crouched behind the tree, trying to decide if I should make a run for it or just stay put and hope the universe threw me a bone. Thankfully, the raccoons, who were clearly far more experienced in the art of distracting wild boars than I, waddled past the mama boar without a second glance. The boar, still grunting, turned and decided to return to her babies, completely ignoring me. This is a really funny mental image this is giving me. I waited another 5 minutes behind that tree before I dared to move. When I finally stood up, my legs were like jelly, and I felt a surge of relief that bordered on euphoria. I'd survived. As I slowly walked back to the entrance, now at a much more leisurely pace, mind you, I couldn't help but laugh at myself. Here I was, a seasoned hiker nearly taken out by a boar who I thought was getting too close to her precious piglets. I can't say I'll never solo hike again, because let's be real, but I will be sure to keep a respectful distance from any wild boar families I come across in the future. Thanks again for creating the best podcast. Keep up the good work, ladies. Aiden. P.S. If you guys are ever in Central Florida, I own a restaurant called Sandbar in Satellite Beach, Florida, and would love to buy y'all lunch. Got great fish tacos.
Great.
Boar
Fish
tacos.
Boar tacos.
But, ooh.
Exclusively boar tacos.
That's crazy. The raccoons came out and the boar was just like, I'm kind of confused now.
The raccoons just walked through like without acknowledging either the boar or Aiden. It's amazing.
It's like,
And then
what
the boar's
was
like, I
doing?
forgot what
I
was
forgot
doing.
what I was doing. Yeah.
Cute. Very relatable.
Yeah.
I mean, they were in an enchanted forest. That seems like an enchanted
true.
encounter. Yeah.
That's true.
Very true. Yeah.
I will say with bears, like when a bear gets antagonized and it like wants to charge someone, they get like laser focused on one target. And a good way to stop it is to like have other people, be like making noise and kind of trying to give it multiple targets. And so I wonder if that's kind of what happened with this boar, where it was focused on this person, but then the raccoon coming out distracted it enough to where it was like, oh, too many things happening. So it just decided to bail.
Yeah, this
So
one
maybe-
distraction was way too much.
If you're out
Yeah.
in bear or boar country, just take a raccoon along with you.
Yeah,
deploy
just
it in
always
case of
have a
emergency.
raccoon.
Just
Yeah.
toss it out.
It's the deterrent we really recommend is having a raccoon. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think don't wild boars actually do attack quite a number of people
I
every
think
year?
that happens fairly often. Yeah.
Yeah.
On our news episodes, we often come across boar attacks. Mike
And they-
always covers them.
Oh, yeah.
Their tusks are like super sharp. Like they can
Yeah.
do real damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they can get huge. If
Yeah,
anyone's curious
big
how big they
animals.
can get, there's pictures out there where a boar is just like weighing down the back half of a truck, just like almost tipping it on its back wheels.
Hogzilla.
It's crazy. Yeah. Hogzilla.
They're always named Hogzilla every time you see those photos. Yeah. I feel like we don't have the problem with it that some other countries do. We definitely have a lot of feral pigs, but as far as them like attacking people, but I don't think we're that far from it either. So
I don't think I've ever seen one.
I've never seen one either.
it's mostly in the South. I think the
Yeah.
South is where they have by far the biggest issues with them.
Well, when we
Like
go to
Texas.
the, what was it? Sandbar
Enchanted
restaurant for-
Forest. Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
no, for
Sandbar.
fish tacos.
Enchanted Forest, yeah.
Yeah, maybe we'll have a moment.
Well, moving on to the next story, I can tell one.
Oh, about the sheep.
Yes,
Here we go.
we're on to the sheep.
I
now.
like sheep. I'm excited,
We'll
personally.
find out if we
Big
all
orange
like
sheep are
sheep
sweet.
after this
They are.
story.
Okay. Yeah. I'll reserve judgment.
This one is titled Counting Rocky Mountain Bighorned Sheep Jumping Over the Moon or Over Me. Hi, Cassie and Danielle. Thanks for letting me write in. My name is Caroline, and I heard about your podcast originally when y'all did a collab with Ash and Elena on Morbid. I proceeded to listen to all of your previous episodes and have been keeping up with every episode since. I love how you tailor so many of your stories to the macabre crimes in the outdoors and mysteries in the wilderness. I love to solo hike and backpack with my dog Lucy, so it might be counterintuitive to listen to creepy tales while alone on the trails, but y'all have kept my ears company on many a long trek around the country. Keep up the good work at digging up interesting stories and bringing awareness to lesser known incidents and advocating for trail safety, awareness, and intuition. I'm actually writing this after being inspired by Trail Tales 50 that featured some adorably smart dogs. Well, thanks for letting me gush over y'all, and I may actually pass out if you read my story on the pod.
Uh-oh.
Put some pillows under her, quick.
When COVID hit in 2021 and everyone's world was turned upside down, I had just graduated undergrad online during lockdown with my Bachelor of Science in Biomedical Science pre-med when I decided to take gap years to work as a travel healthcare provider in 2021. My job as an EMT transitioned from transports to emergency vaccine administration to disaster response, think hurricanes, floods, natural disasters, etc., and then to a wildland fire medic. These adventures ultimately spurred my newfound passion for traveling, hiking, camping, and exploring this beautiful earth. I've since explored beautiful backcountry and parks across the U.S. I'm pretty introverted, so solo hiking and social distancing became super appealing. But when I can, and it's permitted on trails, I always try to let my rescue dog Lucy tag along. I adopted her in Colorado during a vaccine contract, and she's been my partner in crime ever since, helping me through mental health struggles, getting my master's degree in nursing, and of course, all of our outdoor activities. She's an Australian Shepherd / Border Collie mix who has always had way too much energy for her own good. So letting...
Australian shepherds and sheep don't get along, do they? Aren't they always trying to hurt
Oh,
They
good
do
call.
hurt him.
them? Yeah.
Oh.
Oh,
The
now I see
foreshadowing.
where this is going. Yeah.
So letting her roam the trails with a special beeper collar or leash helps her enjoy life, keep me company, and stay safe in the wilderness. Rewind to our third cross-country trip in 2022. We were on our way back to California, crammed in my compact car after expeditions to the Tetons Glacier, as well as various forests in both Montana and Wyoming. This particular expedition was on Booth Creek and turned out to make my top 5 favorite hikes of all time. Honestly, you can't go wrong on a PNW hike with an alpine lake or two to make everything seem okay in the world. It's a pretty highly rated and popular trail in Vail, but to paint a picture, it's about a 9-mile out and back trail dotted with babbling streams, a mild scramble of small boulders, and rolling meadows emerging after patches of lightly wooded areas. Copious wildflowers blanket valleys of green grass and lush terrain up until you get to Booth Lake. At a 3,000 elevation gain, the lake is gorgeous and inviting, especially to my hot and panting doggo. After making sure Lucy's beeper collar was on and secure, I let her take a swim and run along the shore of the lake. I stayed atop a boulder for a full view of the landscape, and I could keep an eye on her as I rehydrated and munched some carrots and powdered peanut butter. Don't knock it till you try it.
Wait,
How do you
what is
consume
it?
that? Do you snort it?
Powdered peanut butter
It
and
gets
what?
to your bloodstream a lot quicker if you
Yeah,
snort it.
right.
Lines of powdered peanut butter.
Don't knock it till you try it.
I guess I won't. Yeah.
So apparently, as I was rummaging through my pack for my water bottle and snack, Lucy heard something. Now, this is usually super helpful if we're on a trail alone and it's kind of sketch, but there was literally nobody around or coming up behind us that I saw at the trailhead or at any point on the trail this far. But when I looked up, she had bolted. I saw a brief flash of black as she shot, sprinting through the grassy brush at least 50 meters and several boulders below me. I called out to her, but lost sight of her again. Being the astute herding dog she is, when she sets her mind on chasing something, it's tunnel vision all around. I like to think it's just her animal instinct to herd rather than a blatant disregard for me calling her, although she does have a history of taking off right after I rescued her that I chalked up to possibly being a traumatic past. However, since then, she would always come back when I called her. I gave it a few seconds more until I stood up and scoured the terrain where I had last seen her. Finally, I spotted her sprinting below me back towards the boulder I was on. Not 5 seconds later, I see a massive, and I mean massive, Rocky Mountain bighorn sheep barreling straight towards me. There were some sprouting pine trees and some brush between the cracks in the adjacent boulders that could have offered a slight diversion. Being a 6-foot-tall girl, though, I had literally 2 seconds to figure out how to either hide my body or straight up dodge a 500-pound beast with horns hurtling towards me at top speed with my dog chasing in quick pursuit. So, as my life flashed before my eyes, I plastered myself as flat as possible to the ground and covered my head and neck as best as the beast leaped over me.
Oh.
I could
Wow.
the vision of that, just like looking up.
It's a great mental image.
I could feel
Big
the
numbers
winds.
on Instagram. If you
I would
recorded it.
It would.
try and recreate this.
I could feel the wind swish over my legs as the sheep careened over me down the boulder and began scaling the adjacent mountain's rock face. And of course, lagging in distance, but not in spirit, was Lucy, who proceeded.
Oh, that's sweet.
That is really sweet. Who proceeded to wholeheartedly channel her inner sheep energy and continue to pursue the animal. Let me tell you, I don't think my heart has raced that fast, nor have I seen a domestic dog sprint that fast in my life.
Whoa. So wait, Lucy didn't hurdle the body?
her?
Yeah, I wanted the dog to jump over her too.
That's what I was envisioning. It was the sheep, and then seconds later, it was her dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shortly after, I lost sight of both of them. Still spinning from fear, but high on adrenaline, I grabbed my pack, Lucy's beeper linked to her collar, and started sprinting down the rocks back to the trail where I had picked up in the valley below. Unfortunately, even after several minutes of whistling, pressing her beeper, and calling her name, Lucy and the sheep were nowhere to be seen. This wasn't the first time she'd taken off on the trail, but again, she always found her way back. I don't know if she was just too excited to be back in her home state of Colorado, where I adopted her, or if it was road trip jitters, but I really thought this time she just wasn't coming back.
No, it must be it. She's like, I can tell I'm in Colorado.
It's like home sweet home. I'm free. I'm out of here.
Had nothing to do with Prey Drive and like, or anything.
I thought Lucy was Australian. Did I get that wrong?
Yeah.
Australian Shepherd, I think.
Okay.
Close. Yeah. Dejected, hot, and crashing from the intense adrenaline rush, I started making my way back down the trail, through the valley, clapping as I went in hopes she would hear it echoing between the mountains. After what seemed like at least 5 to 10 minutes later, to my absolute relief, I heard rapid, heavy panting from behind me. I whipped around, and there she was, happily trotting, tongue lolling as she came to be reunited with me. We finished the trail together and made it back to the trailhead safely. We only ever saw 1 or 2 other hikers too, and thank goodness, because I feel like I definitely look like a real noob clapping and yelling to an imaginary companion named Lucy. Since then, I think they probably got that you were calling for your dog.
Think they got it.
It'd be real crazy if you didn't put that together.
Since then, I've kept a closer restraint on her, especially in areas where there have been recent animal sightings. I know how important it is to respect nature and the local inhabitants, and I've gained better perspective on what trails to bring Lucy on. I am actually headed to solo backpack near Yosemite, John Muir, Inyo National Forest in the next few days before starting my first ever nursing job, and I'll definitely be saving and downloading the newest episodes of NPAD to enjoy during my treks. Lucy won't be there, but I'm counting on y'all to keep me company. Well, ladies, thanks for reading. I hope you enjoyed this tale, and if y'all ever want to know how my dumb ass handled encountering a grizzly in the backcountry of Montana without bear spray, I'd be happy to share that embarrassing escapade as well. Until then, stay adventurous and watch your back. Caroline and Lucy.
You should send that in
What?
to Tooth and Claw, I feel like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
seriously.
Yeah, I think it's kind of crazy you sent the sheep story in before the grizzly bear
I don't
story.
know. She got hurdled by it.
That's true.
I
This
know,
is pretty
yeah.
remarkable.
That is intense. Bears
Yeah.
usually don't hurdle people like that.
Not
I just
usually.
can't
That
help
would be a view.
to think of all the places for that sheep to be. You had to go over me like this much space.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what?
Yeah, go around.
Yeah,
I feel
go
like,
around.
too, like once you find your dog again, because she kind of thought maybe she lost Lucy for a sec. So like, I feel like once you're reunited, you're just so happy you would like pet her and be like, oh, and then you kind of make her feel like she was a good dog for all of that.
Yeah.
I've been guilty
You're
of that.
like, oh, I'm so happy
You
to
have
see
to.
you.
Yeah.
And then it's Lucy's just like, oh yeah, she loved that. She loved that I chased that sheep.
I've been in that situation with my dog Blue many times, and then I would immediately get mad. It's like, I'm so happy to see you, but I'm also pissed at you. And then I would also I would always be yelling his name, similar to, you know, her saying Lucy, but I would be yelling Blue, come, and then I would just say it so much, I'm like, I feel like I'm just saying Blue, come, like screaming it out.
See, now that one I would think like this
Yeah.
lady's
Maybe
crazy.
there's something wrong with this person.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd be like, maybe I can help.
Oh God, yeah. Well,
I will say, like, recently in the news, there's been a lot of stuff in Colorado with moose and people, like, their dogs antagonizing moose and then bringing them back to the person. And then the moose, you know, kicks or tramples the person. And that can happen with a lot of animals. So it is like you're taking a risk if your dog's off leash around wild animals. There's a chance that it's going to make something really angry and then bring it back to you. So, yeah, it's something we talk about a lot with bears too.
That feels like revenge of your dog. They're like, you didn't give me a treat earlier, and now I'm.
Sorry, I was hung up on what Mike said. I didn't mean to interrupt.
What were you saying, Cassie?
Yeah, sorry.
I was saying, I feel like that's a revenge of the dog. Like you
Yeah.
do something to your dog that it doesn't like, and then it brings a moose to attack you.
Like you're not going
Or
to
to
give me your
trample you.
scraps, huh? Here's a moose. Yeah. No, so my mentor right now is writing a paper on dogs and bears and how they interact, and the safety messaging is really changing around them, because we used to kind of say, oh, a dog can be a good deterrent for bears. And I think more and more we're learning that they actually antagonize much more than they deter. So
Interesting.
you got to be, especially off leash.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. We have a ton of black bears in my neighbor. I just saw one yesterday, actually. And now that it's like the season that they're especially up around me, the dogs, we used to go for all these walks. And now because we have 2 of them, I'm like, let's stay in the yard a little bit more than we normally would, because I just don't know.
We grew up, me and Jeff had a black lab growing up, and she was like so passive and didn't bark at anything. Like we constantly had deer in the yard. They didn't bother or whatever. And then we were with her once, and when she saw a black bear, and she lost her mind, like was just barking and snarling and growling. There's just like an enmity there that is deep seated. And sometimes dogs will really go hard when they see a bear.
Yeah, we have a black lab shepherd mix, and he hates bears. He's come across them a couple times. Once when we were camping, he treed a bear. And another time, actually 2 different times, he saw them from the car when they were off the road, and he immediately snarling, growling, like lunging at the window. And we're in the car. We didn't even see the bear one of the times at first, and we're like, what is happening? And we look, and there's just one dipping off the side of the road into the woods.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you really don't like bears.
Yeah. And they can do it with sheep too.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I guess so.
You know how some apps just get you right away? That was Cash App for me. From the moment I downloaded it, everything just made sense. It was fast to set up, easy to use, and way more personal than anything else I've ever tried. Whether I'm sending money to a friend, covering part of a group gift, or paying for something random on the go, Cash App makes it simple. I can even customize my payments with fun notes or backgrounds, because why shouldn't sending money have a little bit of personality? Plus, Cash App actually looks out for you. If something seems off, like you might be sending money to a scammer, they'll step in with a heads up before you hit send. It's like having a built-in safety net for your money. If for whatever insane reason you don't already have Cash App, just download it from your phone's app store, sign up, and enter our code NPAD10 in your profile. Send $5 to a friend, and you'll get $10 for just getting started. And I don't know about you, but I love free money. For a limited time only, new Cash App users can use our exclusive code to earn some additional cash. For real, there's no catch. Just download Cash App and sign up. Use our exclusive referral code NPAD10 in your profile, send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you'll get $10 dropped right into your account. Terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App.
All right. Do you guys want me to go?
I think you're the last one up.
What if we're just
All
like,
right.
no, we're good.
Yeah.
Let's go on to questions.
Nah, we're good, Wes. Before I go, I will have to say, I want to apologize to our goose victim, because I think we were a little dismissive, and I did find some more photos that looked a lot worse,
Oh,
with like some
okay.
bruising and a little bit of torn skin. So they definitely could
Especially
have
as a 6-year-old, like you
Toddler.
get some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a tiny,
Yeah.
tiny
6-year-old.
baby toddler. Yeah.
We apologize.
You just apologized. Now you ruined it.
Oh, I can't help myself. All right. Okay, this one is called Don't Put Bleach on It. Hello, ladies. Love you both. Love the pod. Let's get into it. I've been sitting on this one for a while now. This happened in March 2021, almost 4 years ago to the day that I'm writing this. Though this did not happen in a national park, it did happen outdoors, and I think it's worth sharing. This time of year, every spring break season, I think about what happened to me on Florida's Gulf Coast. Ooh, another Florida story. This could be anything. You know, it could be a python. It could be an alligator.
There's so many
Sure.
things you
Things.
shouldn't put bleach on. And all
Yeah,
of those
exactly.
are on the list.
For some background, I grew up going to Florida almost every year, visiting my grandparents for Easter break in the 90s and early 2000s. I was familiar with the Atlantic Ocean and its dangers, high tides, rip currents, jellyfish, sharks, etc. However, my older sister moved to Clearwater, Florida in 2016, and my eyes were opened to Florida's Gulf Coast. Clearwater Beach with its sugar white sand and clear, warm emerald water. It was so different from the Florida beaches I was used to. Okay, back to 2021. I was now a fan of the Gulf Coast, so when my partner and I were discussing potential spring break vacation destinations with his sister, this area was top of mind. At the time, his sister had a young child and another baby on the way, So our plan was to pick a less populated, more family-friendly beach on the coast. Clearwater Beach is extremely popular with the party crowd and understandably is packed this time of year. Jeff, have you been there? You partied in Clearwater Beach before?
I haven't. Paint the scene.
All right, I'll paint it. It's packed with party crowd. Picture that. Not our
I
thing.
watched it on TV a lot as a kid.
Yeah.
MTV gave
very
me a
closely.
good idea of what was going on.
I paused many times just to really get the idea of what Clearwater Beach looked like.
Especially like Adult Swim. type
Oh,
commercial.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the commercials like at 2 a.m.
Yes.
Those commercials were
Yes.
lit.
All right. They say, not our thing. We ultimately landed on Treasure Island. Ooh. About 45 minutes south down the coast. It was perfect. Definitely still touristy, but less crowded and plenty to do in the area. Plus, the Muppets have been there. Treasure Island. So,
How do you think
That's true.
it's the name Treasure Island? Like, do you just have one person found treasure there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
That's all
right.
it takes, really.
Yeah.
Just once.
I wouldn't assume I could find treasure there.
No, but you might. You never know. If I were to go to any island to look for treasure, I'd go to Treasure Island.
See, I think that's a
maybe.
mistake.
Hiding the treasure in plain
Probably
sight.
saturated by now.
All right. That's where I'm going, though, still. Definitely still touristy, but less crowded, plenty to do in the area. We got a condo across the street from the beach with a grocery store right next door. I think this happened on the second or third day of our trip. I remember because we were already sunburned from day one. Did I mention we're from Ohio? So at this point in time, our bodies hadn't seen the sun in many months. It was a day just as beautiful as the previous one, sunny and 80 degrees with calm, clear water. My partner loves the water and is typically the first one in. I happily ran after him, following him in a straight line as he entered the water. I was following him pretty much step for step. The water wasn't even waist deep yet, and then it happened.
Oh,
Sudden, sharp pain in the bottom of my right foot. My foot never touched the sand on that step. I remember bringing it down through the heavy water when all of a sudden it was met with something that I pictured in my mind to be a jagged shard of glass that went all the way through my foot. Jeff, you don't like that. That was like
I
the Final
hate it.
Destination thing. Yeah.
Glass injuries. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know
Hopefully
probably
it's not glass.
I don't think it is.
Fingers crossed it's not glass.
Glass
bet.
attack.
I bet Quentin Tarantino hates that scene even more than you,
Oh,
Jeff.
yeah.
Seeing those feet get all
I
mangled.
think he just
destroying
likes
a
any
foot.
feet stuff.
Yeah.
Even with like glass poking all the way through him.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it's been long enough that
maybe.
like that's what he needs now. Is
Yeah,
like
he's got to
violence.
keep
on
it interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a little desensitized to just regular feet.
What was it, glass?
I don't know. We're about to get to that, I think. I can't remember the sound I made, but I know I made one because my partner turned and immediately saw that I was not okay. I don't think it was a scream because I hadn't quite gotten the attention in the entire beach just yet. Yes, I said yet. Frowny face emoji. Maybe more of a reactive sort of yelp. I don't know. I immediately turned around and started walking or hopping back toward the shore. Have you ever had an injury that hurt so bad that you were afraid to look at it? I hadn't looked at my foot yet, but from the immediate and near paralyzing pain I felt, I thought that maybe my foot was going to be shredded, blood everywhere, a hospital stay in my future. I had no idea what just happened to me. Jeff recently had an injury that I didn't want to look at.
What was
Didn't
it?
give us a choice.
It's kind of weird. I'm like Rolodexing in my mind all of
Yeah,
which I'm
all of
always
his
one.
injuries.
Yeah.
I'll give you a
He's talking
clue.
about.
It's in his butthole.
Oh yeah. Okay.
It wasn't easy to get a picture of that.
No,
I feel like
no.
it's impressive. You got a great angle. Like, very clearly showed it what the problem
That's an
was.
interesting reaction. I feel like no matter how bad it is, I would like want to make sure my foot's going to be okay. And
I would
look,
immediately
like,
look.
Oh, yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
an interesting reaction to just be like, if I don't
Can't
look,
look
it's
at
going
this.
to be okay. It's not real until I look at it.
Yeah. I got to shore, my partner right behind me, and as much as I was afraid to look, I had to assess the situation. What were we dealing with here? 1, 2, 3, I held my breath and flipped my foot over to see one tiny little cut on the bottom of my foot. I don't even remember there being much blood at all, but when we talk about this now, my partner insists there's plenty of blood coming out of the tiny wound.
Oh, good partner.
Yeah. I guess for me, what I saw just did not match the extreme pain I was feeling. It's the power of venom, you know? I sat there on the beach towel with my partner and his sister, and her husband gathered around me, asking me what had happened. I told them I had no idea. I must have stepped on something, but the pain was excruciating. We were all pretty confused looking at this tiny wound and wondering how it could be as painful as it was. I'm generally an introverted person, and I like my privacy when on vacation. I want to enjoy my time with the people I'm with. I don't like causing a scene or having attention on me, especially in such a public place where everyone is trying to enjoy themselves and have a good time. I also don't like asking for help. I recognize that I have a really hard time with that. So I continued to sit there on my towel, holding my foot, trying to breathe through it, and hope that the pain would just magically dissipate, which it did not. It got worse. After about 3 minutes, I started yelling out in pain. People were starting to notice something was going on. My partner sat with me, and after a few more minutes, I looked at him and desperately said I needed help. He had said that he noticed an ambulance down the beach and he would bring back help. He ran Baywatch style next to the ambulance that drove along the beach and parked close to where we were sitting. So he ran in slow motion then.
Yeah, you got to get there fast. You don't want to be doing that.
I wish I could have focused more on my hot, shirtless hero running down the beach, but I was so focused on breathing and moaning through the pain. I guess I haven't completely described it yet. Have you ever had a muscle cramp in the middle of the night in your foot or calf muscle? I call it a Charlie horse, but not sure if most people are familiar with the term. Basically, it's an involuntary muscle spasm. That's the only thing that comes to mind to compare it to. The muscles in my foot contracting combined with burning pain going up into my leg muscles. Was it spreading? Was whatever this was going to kill me? I think it was not knowing what it was that was making me panic. We saw nothing in the water. If a shark had bitten me, we would have known pretty quickly what was going on.
Do you
What do
have
guys
any
think it is?
guesses? Oh,
I'm almost positive what it is, and I haven't read this story yet. I would bet money it's a stingray.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too.
Just
With a
because
little
of
tiny
the action of like stepping down.
Stepping and then like a little pinprick hole like that. Their barbs don't really do much damage, but it really hurts. Everyone that I know that's been stung by stingrays say it's an incredible pain.
And just like shallow water like that.
Yeah.
It's
versus
they
a,
like to
versus
hang
a
out right there.
jellyfish or something.
And a jellyfish there wouldn't be any bleeding or anything with a jellyfish. There might be a mark, but no bleeding.
Because of the bleeding.
Yeah.
I have good vibes, so I was not attacked by the jellyfish, but right. I was,
Of course not.
but I was witness to it, and I was with my best friend Natea in Ibiza, whatever you want to say, and we were at this nude beach, and we're like, this is so great, and like we like go right in and like whatever, and then all of a sudden we realized that we were kind of surrounded by a bunch of jellyfish.
Oh no!
But we weren't familiar with like
They're
if
just
they were
trying to get a look.
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
And I didn't start panicking because there's so many people in the water, and I was like, I don't know, it feels like people are chill with this, like I don't know. And immediately all of a sudden she starts freaking out and like pushing the water away, and she's like, they're gonna get, like, one is super close to me, but I can't see it anymore. And she starts panicking. So I start panicking, and she's like, oh, fuck, it got me. And I thought, worst case scenario, it got her tit. I'm like, oh no, like, what are we gonna do? But she was like pushing the water away, and it got her arm.
Oh.
And we had to like go up. There's a big restaurant, which was also kind of strange because there's a big cliffside restaurant just overlooking this nude beach. So people are like having salmon, like watching everyone. Yeah,
There's a bunch of scopes mounted all along
the little insert a quarter.
So we had to go into the restaurant and ask for help, and I think they gave her vinegar or something to put on it. Yeah. But it was all red and swollen. I have no idea what kind of jellyfish it was, but it went down
If it
within
got
a couple
her
hours.
Boob, you would have got so much more help, I bet.
I know, she'd been like, help!
20 guys with cans of vinegar that are just like ready to go.
Anyway, sorry. Okay, so we're thinking it's a stingray.
All right.
I'm story in a
90%.
story.
Yeah.
It's Inception.
I like it.
The EMT arrived on the scene and was completely unbothered by what he saw. He was my age, early 30s, or younger, and acted like he'd seen this a million times. Yep, looks like a baby stingray got you. A stingray? A baby? Did he have to include the word baby? That's
Embarrassing.
the way it's typed. Yeah. He made me feel like I was overreacting. He told us this was common and to take some ibuprofen. He told us not to go to the emergency room. He said it would be crowded with spring breakers. There was nothing they could do anyway. Honestly, the way I took it was, walk it off, bitch.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ooh, tough love.
Yeah. He was gone as soon as he arrived. Our plan was to somehow walk me back to our condo and Google what to do. By this point, a scene was made. People were staring. I was sobbing. I tried my best to pull it together. My partner and his sister's husband pretty much carried me to the boardwalk. I tried to walk, but I ended up giving in and had to put all my weight on them. People were stopping us and asking us what had happened. We would mumble stingray, and most people wished us luck. One drunk guy said, I seriously think you're supposed to pour bleach on it. I don't trust that guy. Like, why are you listening to him?
The drunk guy.
Please tell me you didn't pour bleach on it. His wife hurried him along and said, do not listen to him. I agree with her. We got back to the condo and Googled what we were supposed to do in this situation. Warm water is what I think you're supposed to do, but I'm not positive. At this point, I truly knew almost nothing about stingrays. I knew one of them killed Steve Irwin. I knew I donated R.I.P. Steve.
I know. What's up?
Yeah.
I knew I donated money at the stingray exhibit the day before the Clearwater Marine Aquarium. Oh. And then I got stung by one the very next day. The irony was rich.
Seriously. That's messed up.
Yeah, that is messed up. That's why I always say never donate money to animals.
Maybe there's a huge one out there that was going to Steve Irwin her, and this baby was like, don't go any further.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good
helping her.
Yeah.
She was helping us. Yeah.
That's
sure.
likely, I would say.
All right. The next 24 hours, I would read every single article or account I could find online of someone who had been stung by a stingray. I read that most beaches don't, or didn't at the time, put up signage warnings, beachgoers, because they were worried it would discourage tourists. We learned that the only thing I could... We learned that the only thing I could do was soak my foot in water as hot as the person can tolerate. That's what I've read too. We read that the pain would peak approximately 2 hours after the sting. What? Hours? My partner spent the next several hours alternating between the biggest mixing bowl and sauce pot we could find in the condo. I know this is pretty gross, but we were desperate. As soon as my foot entered the 110-degree Fahrenheit water, I felt immediate relief. Apparently, this helps inactivate the venom and promote blood circulation to the area. When the water would cool, or I would pull my foot out, I immediately felt the waves of pain again. My partner was rotating bowls for the next couple of hours until the pain subsided. This is a good boyfriend. I hope
he's
she
great.
hung on to this guy.
From the Baywatch to the,
Yeah.
It sounds like husband, right? Didn't you say, I
She
didn't
just
see
said
my
partner.
husband
She might have said
running,
husband. Yeah.
He's hot. We know
all
that.
sexy.
Yeah, we do
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah.
Send pics.
I called my sister that evening to tell her what had happened to me. Her first reaction was, "Oh, you didn't do the shuffle? What? The stingray shuffle?" she said confidently. I had never heard of this. Apparently, the locals know you're supposed to drag your feet along the sand upon entering the shallow water to let the stingrays know you're coming. I don't know if that's exactly right.
I like the
you
idea,
shouldn't
but
drag your feet, but you do kind of want to kick them in front of
The
you
sandworms.
to
and Dune.
yeah, right.
exactly,
You
yeah,
gotta
the
do
little
the dance.
the little dance, yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant kick the sand so you could tell when one of them was under the sand beneath you.
I think if you're just dragging your feet around, you might be more likely to step on one. But anyway,
Shai-Hulud or a stingray?
I'm talking stingray now, not Shai-Hulud.
Okay.
Yeah. They can feel your vibrations and will swim away. She told me she had seen signage for this before, but I insisted this was the first I was hearing about it. The more research I did, the more I realized that stings were pretty common. They are. Why aren't they talked about more? I guess the pain can vary depending on where you got stung, how deep your wound is, how much venom is injected, and how soon you get your foot into hot water. I've also heard that some restaurants along beach boardwalks put buckets outside for this exact purpose. The last thing I learned was you absolutely should go to the hospital and get antibiotics ASAP because the wounds are usually deep and let in marine bacteria. I waited until I was home almost a week later to visit a surprise doctor in Ohio who told me my wound was infected. Ooh, that's not good. Yeah, sand.
No
right,
wonder
Jeff?
she is so mad at that, the
EMT.
medical person. EMT.
Yeah, the guy that was
guy
just
sucked.
like, get out of here.
It's like, you're fine.
Yeah. When we do marine stories and sand gets in wounds, oh, boy, does
I
that
don't like that
increase
at all.
our ouchie rating.
That hurt.
Yeah. It's like a
Especially
10
Jeff's.
on the willies rating.
Yeah.
Gives me the willies.
I'm sharing my story because I am still shocked that I didn't know this was something that could happen to me in shallow water. Had I been educated on stingrays, I would have much less fear and would have been able to react properly and immediately get my foot into hot water. No, I am not mad at the baby stingray after all. I forced myself to get back into the water the very next day. Oof, I was
Nice.
unaware of the infection risk at this time. And I understand this is just an intense defense mechanism that I was lucky enough to be on the business end of. Most people don't get to experience what venom feels like entering the body. I will never forget.
That's
I
a good way
attached
of looking at it.
It is. Yeah, it's a cool experience.
Very optimistic. Like,
Glass is very half full here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm happy just learning about this one from other people.
Same.
I attached a few pictures here to show the little cut where you can clearly see where the serrated barb entered my foot. Another of the shape the doctor circled on my foot to show where the infection was spreading up into my leg. It'd be funny if the next thing was like, and another of where my leg was amputated.
Yeah.
Wes is going to be like, actually, stingrays can't leave a scar, so I don't.
Yeah.
Let me show you what a stingray bite looks like, or sting. Yeah. And lastly, my foot soaking in the bowls. I cropped out my puffy, teary face. Anyway, I'm a longtime fan of you ladies and would be thrilled if you read this. Oh, too bad they're not
We
reading
didn't,
it.
no.
I'm reading it instead. You probably don't know who I am. So that other folks don't have to experience the panic I did that day. Enjoy the view, but do the stingray shuffle. Jess. P.S. Not one article mentioned anything about pouring bleach onto the wound. For the love of God, please don't listen to drunk men on spring break. I think that's great advice across the board.
No matter what they're
Anything they
saying.
say. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, you knew pretty much everything about what to do and what it was. So.
We've been in a lot of places that have lots of stingrays, and I'm always pretty nervous about them because they are typically in pretty shallow water, and if you're not careful, like trying to scare them, you can step on them really easily. So, yeah, I've
As
kinda,
like someone who just likes to sprint into the ocean, much like
Yeah.
the story, it is like a scary thing that you can just step on a stingray.
yeah. And from people like our uncle got stung by one, and he said it was the most intense pain he's ever felt, and he had cancer. So
Ooh.
Wow.
You
Yeah.
said that before, the cancer.
yeah, I think he
right?
said it before the cancer. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well,
We'd
thank
ask
you.
him, but he's dead. So
Okay.
unfortunately.
Oh, God.
Anyway, yeah. So do the shuffle, but I wouldn't so much drag your foot as kind of just like stomp in place and kind of wave your feet in front of you a little bit. And that should be enough to scare away
Well,
stingrays in front of you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're like me, instead of learning to skateboard, you wish you were learning to write code. Instead of scraping through college, you wish you bought Bitcoin at less than a cent or secured a few Nvidia shares before they boomed. We might be the FOMO generation, but don't miss out on protecting your future. For around the same price per month as one of your streaming services, you can break our generational cycle and secure your and your family's future by finding life insurance at SelectQuote.com. If you're new to life insurance, trust me, you're not the only one. I had no idea where to start until I found SelectQuote. For over 40 years, they've helped more than 2 million Americans get life insurance coverage that they need, totaling over $700 billion in coverage and counting. The best part? SelectQuote is a broker, which means they don't work for the insurance companies, they work for you. Their licensed agents compare policies from trusted, top-rated providers to find coverage that fits your health, your lifestyle, and your budget, and it's completely free. You could be covered faster than you think. SelectQuote works with providers who offer same-day coverage for up to $2 million with no medical exam required. And if you have a pre-existing condition, you're not out of luck. SelectQuote partners with companies that offer policies for people with diabetes, high blood pressure, and heart conditions too. Life insurance is never cheaper than it is today. Get the right insurance for you for less and save more than 50% at SelectQuote.com/NPAD. Save more than 50% on term life insurance at SelectQuote.com/NPAD today to get started. That's SelectQuote.com/NPAD.
Well, thank you guys for participating in all of our trail tales and reading everything
Yeah.
from our listeners.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Well, you're not done
You're
yet.
not done yet because
gosh.
our listeners were really excited that we were recording together. So they wrote a list of questions that they would like us to ask you on their behalf.
Yeah. Some of them. We don't have time for all 500. So,
Yeah, there were
sorry.
a lot of questions, but we compiled a few of them.
We
Yeah.
want all of them.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll come back for the second episode, part 2,
All right.
for the rest of them.
Okay. The first one. Who has the most unhinged childhood pet story?
I don't like me and Jeff, we had a pond near our house where we caught a lot of different little critters at the pond, and we were allowed to keep them for a couple days before we let them go. And the reason that rule came up is because we would take them inside and sometimes they'd get lost. Oh, no. And we had a snake get lost that was lost for like 2 months. And then later my mom found Jeff as a baby playing with it in the basement. And then she also found turtles underneath the couch cushions. And that's when she was like, okay, no more animals in the house. So I don't know.
I do remember too.
Yeah.
You wanted to bring some snakes you caught to show and tell.
Oh, yeah.
And Mom wouldn't pick them up, and I was like 2, and she had me pick them up, and they were just like biting me. And there's like a picture of me holding these snakes just biting me.
Yeah.
What's his unhinged stories were when you were in like college though, and you had like,
those are
raccoons. Then
Alligator.
you met Hillary Duff because you had raccoons.
Yeah. Yeah, but we don't need to get into all that.
It pays off.
There's another quick one that I had where I was 5 and I was walking home with a snake, and my mom said I just had blood running down my hand and the snake was biting me, and I was like, "Hey Mom, this one bites." And it was like the first time I had gotten bit, and I was so excited about it. But yeah. Anyway, those are mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have one unhinged. Like, what
I don't
is
have
that?
one that's unhinged, but my dad had an iguana growing up, and I used to take it for walks down the road, and it had a little
Oh, that's
leash.
so cool.
And
Yeah.
people would always
Would it
look at
like
me.
do well on a walk?
I mean, it was very slow walking, and we didn't make it far, and then we'd turn around and I'd carry it. But
Says
we went for like little small walks.
yeah.
And I was a child, and the iguana was pretty big, so I imagine it was pretty comical watching me at like 7 years old just carrying an iguana down the street with a leash on it.
It's more just to like show the neighborhood like we are the coolest family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Check out my iguana.
Okay. Mike, do you have one?
Next.
I'm not gonna.
Oh,
I mean,
skip over it.
we had a scorpion. That's not really a pet, but it got loose in like the little Harry Potter closet underneath the stairs in our house in Nevada. Not sure what the resolution there was. I think
It's
it just
like, that's its closet.
it's still
now.
there somehow. Yeah,
We don't
Never
go
went
in that
back.
room.
right.
Yeah. Huh.
Well, this next question is kind of geared towards you.
Yeah.
If horses were carnivores, would Mike like them more or less?
More.
And okay. And how do Danielle and Mike get along if Danielle is a horse girl and Mike is a horse hater?
Do
we never
get
said we
along?
got along.
Yeah. No, there's some
actually
serious tension.
Bitter enemies.
Yeah, this is draining for both of us.
Right. We actually are all in the same city. We could have gotten to record together, but we needed to keep us in separate rooms.
It's probably
Yeah.
a relief to like be able to put that out there now that
Yeah,
you don't
I feel
have to,
better.
like,
Yeah.
pretend at all.
No more. Yeah. Don't have to keep up pretenses. No. So here's the thing. I'm so happy for people that like horses and have those special kinds of relationships with them. That's just never going to be me. They freak me out, and I do not care for them, and I don't respect them. But that's just a personal.
Mike's very close to my girlfriend, and she's like a certified platinum horse girl. So
yeah,
and they love each other. So
she got her certification.
She did.
Gotten past her
big old plaque on the wall. Yeah.
Also, part A of that question, I feel like any change that you say, Mike will like the horses more.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
Wings.
Oh, dude, wings, Pegasus. That's that's not a horse though. That's a Pegasus.
Right.
I
two
like
completely
Pegasi.
different things. Yeah.
He likes anything close to a horse.
Zebras,
Like donkeys,
donkeys,
zebras,
giraffes.
Giraffes. Is
Are
kind of
giraffes
stretched.
close to horses?
Pretty close. Just long neck horse.
Okay.
Dude, if you like donkeys, you gotta watch Shrek.
Listen, Wes is the one that has a problem with Shrek. I am all in. I'm camping out for Shrek 5. I'm at the front of that line.
Okay. Out of all 5 of you, who has the best odds against a silverback gorilla?
Well, it's you because you got good vibes.
It is me.
Yeah, there we go.
He's just gonna like cuddle with you.
Yeah, I'm gonna say me because I'm like
there.
have the most confidence.
Fight
against
confidence. Yeah.
Jeff is the most confident he can beat the most confident he can beat a primate in a fight. So
Confidence does take you far.
Silverback, none of us have any chance. A chimpanzee, I'm giving myself.
No way, dude. I'm going with Cassie on this one because you guys,
why?
you're familiar with King Kong, right?
Yes.
Is it Leone? Or no, who's the...
No, it's what's her face
from The Ring, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, you look the most like her, that actress, and I think the gorilla would just fall in love with you and want to like carry you up to the top of buildings and stuff.
That would be
And
pretty
then
cool.
you could like push it off the edge. You know?
Naomi. What's her
If we're
name?
on the same
Naomi
team,
Watts.
I'm not pushing
Yeah.
it off the edge.
Well, we're like talking about winning a fight. I'm
Well, no,
saying
but
if
the
you
question-
wanted to
Right.
beat it.
The question wasn't
Okay.
a fight, and that's why I think either the girls
Yeah.
have a better chance. It's just
That's a
who has
good
the
point.
best odds against a silverback
If Cassie
gorilla.
teams up with it, then
Yeah.
we're all in trouble.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh no.
I think
Let's
Jeff
hope
has
that doesn't happen.
the worst odds because he's going to go in there like fist flying, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's probably true.
Okay. Okay. How does your current career compare or differ from what you imagined you would be doing?
For me,
Ever since I was like 3 years old, I wanted to be a podcaster.
he had little toy microphones and neon
So it's
signs.
going well.
It's going perfect.
pretty comfortable.
Yeah.
Okay.
I dreamt about being a wildlife biologist like my whole childhood. And then when I went to college, I decided it wasn't like practical and thought I would be like a doctor or something. And then just got like sucked back into being a wildlife biologist. So I think I do feel proud to say I do think I'm one of those like few kids that got to live their childhood dream and be like exactly what I wanted to be as a kid.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Good for you, dude. Who cares?
Thanks, man.
Not me.
I know.
I'm very
We're
proud of you,
enemies
Wes.
too.
Good
Thanks.
job.
Yeah. The
I don't know.
podcasting thing's a new element.
Yeah, it is. I don't really know what I wanted to be. I never had a good idea, even right up until I quit my full-time job and started doing podcasting as my new full-time job. I was always kind of hopping from one place to the last, and I was in information security, and that's super boring. So the less said about that, the better. But let's just say life's taken a real upward turn.
That's good.
Good
Love
for
it.
you, Mike.
It's positive.
Very
Cassie's
positive.
thriving.
Yeah, I am thriving.
I do keep saying
never
if the
wanna clock
podcast
in.
ever goes under, I'm going to just go to the 7-Eleven down the street and get a job there because they have the self-checkout stands. And those guys don't have to do anything. They just watch other people do their job for them now.
That's
I love
just
that,
with
dude.
you because you do self-checkout. If you
Yeah, I
worked
think-
there, you would have to do small talk all day long.
No way, dude. I'd be pretending to stock the Hostess donuts and stuff all day.
Wait, why is Cassie living or what?
She's living the dream. Yeah.
Thriving, yeah.
Living her dream.
Yeah. I never want to clock into another workplace again.
Yeah.
I love
Seriously.
having my own schedule. I never dreamed of working. But this is pretty comparable to...
But you both still like introduce yourselves as vet techs, right? And not podcasters.
Sometimes if people ask what we do for work and they don't know, like if I'm just meeting someone randomly on the street and they're like, oh, what do you do for work? Because that seems to be a very common question to ask. I always say I'm a vet tech, or I'll say I work in marketing.
Nice.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, I'm in a full-blown lie with my masseuse. Like, I am deep in this lie. Like, I couldn't be... Like, I'm making up fake work schedules with
That
my...
is very deep.
So,
I'm like, I gotta be at the hospital. That won't work. That time won't work for me. Just because I said one time that I was a vet tech, and he just keeps talking about it, and I just can't get out of it. But yeah, it's good.
I'll always say like I'm a podcaster, like go check out my podcast and give all these like episodes to listen to. But then if I'm with Mike doing that, Mike will like actively try to get them not to listen to it.
mortifying. Oh, I hate it.
Yeah, I mean,
Jeff is our hype man for sure.
It's good.
yeah. Well, you got to have one, and unfortunately for me and Cassie, neither of us are it.
I hype you up.
I'm so opposite of a hype. I need to be more of a hype because I was out walking on a trail and I was wearing a National Park After Dark sweatshirt. And I forgot that I was wearing it, but I walked by a girl on the trail and she was like, she said, oh my God, I have the same sweatshirt. I love that one. And I said, cool. And then I just kept walking.
Cool.
That's
walks
100%
away.
what Mike would do too. Except he wouldn't say cool. He would just ignore him and keep walking.
Yeah.
You'd be like, I don't know what this sweatshirt is.
I just got it
I
from
just put it on the
Savers.
If I had my way, I mean, when Jeff and I were in San Diego and I was wearing a Tooth and Claw sweatshirt, someone recognized Tooth and Claw and not the person wearing it. And they're like, I love that sweatshirt. And I was like, oh yeah, well, Jeff's right over there. And I was never going to say anything about me. Like, that was it, you know?
Yeah.
And immediately, you're like,
Jeff.
now it's
like,
Park
you
After
know,
Dark. I'm like,
Aired it out.
it's supposed to be a secret. I'm a vet tech. Okay. Next. This one's really quick. Cougar, puma, and mountain lion. What's the difference?
All the same cat.
Great.
Yep.
What other ones are there?
What do you mean?
There's catamount, mountain screamer. Man, they have so many names. Like Red Devil.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the whole list once, but there's a bunch. Puma is what they're mostly called in like Central and South America. That's like the most common name for them, but it's actually my favorite name for them because their scientific name is Puma concolor. So I think it like makes the most sense for that to be the universal name. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's kind of like regional things. Panther's another one that people call them. But yeah, anyway.
Ever since we started talking about it, Cassie, I keep seeing, I don't know if it's getting further along, but I think they're pushing forward the reintroduction into Vermont.
Oh, are they?
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been, I haven't paid much attention to it, but they have license plates with a catamount. It says like Vermont catamount on it.
Oh,
and
cool.
they've been talking about reintroducing them for
Cool.
a
That'd
be
while.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I know feeding wildlife is a no-no, but where do bird feeders factor into this? Is this a problem because the seeds in the bird feeders aren't what they typically find? What's the deal?
That's a tricky one. I think people ask that a lot, and like, I think it's kind of a gray area. I think if you can give them wild feed, that's the best. And if you're not attracting like other nuisance animals, like if you live in a bear area, you shouldn't have bird feeders out. So that's a really good way to food condition a bear. But I put out suet feeders for our neighborhood birds. I feel like it just gives them a nice little boost, and it's not like changing their natural behavior. So I don't know. I'm personally okay with it, but I think there's probably people that would argue against that too.
Have you seen, the one thing I've seen with bird feeders is that you have to be careful about birds that migrate, because if you keep their food out, then they might stay in the area. Is that true?
I've heard that, but I don't think I've ever seen that like happen in action.
Okay.
I think like the will to migrate is stronger than the will to like get some food. But I don't know. Maybe if you're like right at the tail end of their migration or something, but for our birds that migrate, they're like the place they're migrating to is such a stark difference from like where they are that I don't think I could stop them from migrating with like a suet feeder. But I'm not going to say that definitively because I'm not sure.
Yeah, if you tried hard enough, you could.
Yeah, if you put a little cage over them, you could probably stop them from migrating.
I mean, Jeff tries to get him in his house.
Yeah, he's done it. Yeah. Tries and succeeds.
I'll just hang I have like a hook that's right by the window where my bird feeder normally is. So when they're just going crazy on it, sometimes I'll put my bird feeder inside and they'll come in.
Good. What color M&M is the best?
Oh man, to eat blue, but of the cartoon characters, green.
Green.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Why?
But I like the old.
I like her
the new-
personality.
the woke green. No, that's not for me.
Oh, did Eminem snowflake out?
What was it? They just gave her like tennis shoes instead of
Oh, really?
heels or something. Yeah. And the right was all like,
I like that. It's a little image change. Does a girl good.
is there an actual difference in flavor? Or is that a stupid question?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
I'm not a big M&M person.
I have a friend who swears that yellow M&Ms are the best flavor, and if you give her a handful of M&Ms and she closes her eyes, she can tell you every time which one is the yellow one because she says it tastes different. And even when I went to the M&M store, I think I was in Vegas, and she's like, just get the yellow M&Ms. And it was a thing. They had whole bags of just yellow M&Ms that you could buy.
What?
Really?
I can't tell the difference. She swears by it.
Did they have whole bags of all the different colors that you can buy though?
yeah.
Not
Okay.
that I remember, but maybe.
They
I
have
was
those
just
huge
focusing
like
on the
chamber
yellow.
things. Of
Yeah,
all
they
the
do have
colors.
those.
Like
Yeah.
the Harry Potter point counters.
Huh.
Yeah.
I want you to bring your friend on the show and make
Test
her
it.
prove that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I have a hard time believing that one.
I've
Yeah.
seen her do it twice, and she was correct.
2 out
both
of 2.
times.
Wow.
2 out of
Whoa.
2.
strong.
Okay.
So,
What do you have to
But-
say to that, doubting Thomas?
I
I
am
can bring her on the
Thomas.
show if she could do it.
Yes, we'll have her on as a guest too.
Yeah.
I'll let her know.
Great.
A little outside the purview of our show, but this is important.
No, it's
5-minute
pertinent.
guest
Yeah.
spot.
Yeah.
Mm.
I don't know. Growing up, that was my favorite thing to do to my sister. I would blindfold her and feed her random stuff, and make her guess what it was. But I was so mean, and it was never great. It was like cat treats and like
Ew.
dog food and like hot sauce and stuff. And
It's torture. Mild
Yeah.
form of torture.
Yeah.
and like,
It's
it'll be
like not
so
a hard thing to guess either. It's like, yeah, that's dog food.
I don't know if I'd be able to identify dog food.
This burning thing must be hot sauce.
hot sauce. Yeah.
Yeah.
And one time she freaked out, and I was trying to keep her calm, and she was trying to rip the blindfold off her face, and I had the fake like lemon container that lemon juice is in,
Yeah.
and it looks like a lemon. That's what I was trying to put in her mouth, and it got in her eye. It was right before my parents were coming home because I was babysitting.
What a babysitter.
And she was losing her mind, and I had to bribe her to not tell them that that's what had just happened. Good times.
Did
Maybe
you
we should do
guess
that,
it?
Cassie, for a live
Yeah,
stream.
from the eyeball.
She gets it from. She's like lemon juice. Ah!
It's like next is Tabasco.
Yeah, literally. Okay. Cage match: Danielle versus Cassie.
Oh,
Ooh. Huh.
well, you have that like super like marathon runner's kidney, right, Cassie?
I do.
Yes.
Yeah, he
Oh,
does.
you're a
So
cyborg.
maybe
Yeah.
it's like 2v1. Like he gives you a little bit extra power. So
Yep.
Yeah.
It is something to consider.
It is. He does ultra
I'm gonna
marathons.
put my money on Cassie, but I think it's a good fight.
Danielle's going
Okay.
to vibe out, and that's going to
Yeah.
really change the energy in the
Vibes
cage.
are too good.
I'll go with Danielle because of the story she just told about her sister.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's got a little
That's a good
psycho
point.
energy.
Yeah, the thing is, Cassie's strong and
Hmm.
capable and powerful,
Yeah.
but I'm
You're
feisty.
angry.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Huh.
So it's a pretty good. That's actually a really good question.
Yeah, I'm no good odds.
It
Either
seems
way.
like a good fight. We need to make that happen.
Yeah, let's do this.
Your next live show. Every new
That would
stop on
sell
the
out.
tour, you got to fight at the end.
We invite them on our show and just say, okay, now fight.
It's like betting stations.
Yeah.
Winner takes all.
Does Wes have a favorite hike to do in Western Montana area? Specifically Wes, nobody else.
Yeah, we should have Jeff answer this one too, because I live here now, but Jeff also grew up here. I do, and it's kind of a boring answer because it's in Glacier, but the Grinnell Glacier hike in Glacier National Park is my favorite hike in Western Montana. It's just like almost every time I do it, I see bears. It's a beautiful hike the whole time. Like the entire time you're hiking, you're looking at like a beautiful vista with lower Grinnell Lake below you. And then you get up to another really beautiful lake that has remnants of a glacier in it. So it's kind of like 10 out of 10 for me. It's not super easy, but it's not like really hard either.
Sure,
Jeff?
yeah, I'll just go with Glacier. Or no, I'm going to go. Does Yellowstone count?
Yeah. Well,
Is that Western?
part
I'm
of
gonna-
it, a
I'm
tiny
gonna
bit of it
do
is
it
in Western
anyways.
Montana. Yeah.
Is
I
it-
just
is
like
the
the old
hike in
faithful
Western?
boardwalk. Go,
Oh.
guys are watching.
Yeah.
I'll go with the trail that Jeff literally built. I hiked that once. That was
That
pretty
is a
cool.
good trail.
It's
It
a
is
nice
good
trail.
Thanks for only crediting me for
Yeah.
It's all right. I don't need
And
credit
Wes
for that
both
one.
built 2 trails in Missoula, but
Yeah.
I'm glad you viewed it.
And
It's
Brent.
just me.
Yeah.
You dug it out with your bare hands.
Yeah.
A little
Not
bit.
even his human hands.
Okay. Do the Toothy Boys have any trail tales, spooky stories, or weird occurrences?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Wes.
Mike.
Mike is outside a lot, so
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I have a lot of stories. A lot of like animal stuff. And then I do have
We're
one
talking about
spooky
your
story.
cabin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do have
that's
one
cabin.
really spooky story. But it's a whole story in of itself.
so have you told it on your show?
I have, yeah, on a Halloween episode.
Well-
But it was the like really quick version of it is that I was doing some bear research. I was staying in a very kind of remote area, a tiny little Forest Service cabin, and I was taking photos in the night sky. And in one of those photos, there are suddenly some shadows in the window of my cabin that look very much like some of like the pictographs and stuff in Southwest Utah. And it was for me, it was really scary. Mike and Jeff are very tired of hearing the story, but it like the picture is pretty crazy. So, yeah, that's my story.
Spooky. Did you go back into the cabin and have to stay the night?
I did. I had to go back in, and there was a bunch of flies in the window when I went back in, which also scared me. But I'm just trying to give as few details as possible so that I can avoid Mike's ridicule right now.
Well, if
But-
anybody wants to hear the whole
I'll show you
version.
guys the photo just on the video here.
Yeah,
but-
what episode number is
I
that?
think it's
Yeah.
a subscriber episode, actually.
Oh, even better. You're going to have to.
Plug
Yep.
in the
Yeah.
Patreon.
Another
my
plug
voice.
for a subscription. Do you guys have any, Jeff and Mike?
Pretty sure
our
my
la-
mom is haunting my house right now.
Oh, that's fun.
When she died, we threw away like 70 throw pillows that you put on like couches all over your house. She had a real unhealthy obsession with these things. And every once in a while, there will be more that pop up that I swear we did not have before. And they keep appearing out of nowhere on theirs. I hate these pillows, man. There's so many of them.
There's the window with the spooks in it. So
Yeah.
Oh,
the
yeah.
ghouls, yeah. So it was creepy.
Creepy.
Yeah, this was it. Like all the other photos, that's what it looked like. But then in that one photo,
There's
Anyway.
the two.
Yeah.
figures.
Yeah.
That is
I
scary.
mean, the last time we were on here, we told my best like trail story. I went to like one of the most haunted places in America, and I touched a little boy ghost, but I didn't realize it. The guide just told me like, "Oh yeah, you're touching like a little boy right now." I was like,
Yeah.
"What?"
That was
illegal.
wild. He wasn't
Yeah,
even telling us.
inappropriately.
He's like, swing your hand.
No.
Swing your hand. Do you feel
Yeah.
that?
He's like, the hand just went through a little boy's head. I was like, "What? That's crazy." I had
my
no
God.
idea.
We I didn't include it on here, but we did get a question that is pertinent. It was specifically to you. Would you ever go on another ghost tour again?
I don't know. I was pretty scared by that.
We also did get an email I can't include it on Trail Tales, but it was more of just like a heads up. And somebody wrote in and said, I was like shitting my pants because as soon as you guys were describing that ghost tour, I've been on that exact tour. I know the exact guide you're talking about. I know everything. Like, it's so funny. It's similar experience. And we failed to mention that guide also came out of like the bushes in a dark abandoned park to meet
So
us
good.
in plain clothes alone.
That's great.
He was just like, "Hi, I'm
a good
Joe." We're
move.
like, "Oh my God." Okay. Tips for bear safety this year during summer hikes, especially with less park staff. And a follow-up, Yosemite doesn't allow bear spray. So what's the next best option for preparation?
Yeah, so the 3 tips that we always say are carry bear spray, know how to use it, hike in groups, and just make plenty of noise. Those are the tips for kind of preventing anything bad from happening. If you see if a bear is approaching you, group up, get your bear spray out, slowly back away. We like to keep it really simple just because we don't want a ton of things running through people's heads. So that's basically it. Those things are going to really help you decrease your chances of having a negative bear encounter. As far as Yosemite is concerned, I think they've just had so many more problems with people not knowing that bear spray is like bear spray and not bear
Just accidents with bear spray and misuse,
or they're like spraying their kids with it because they think it's like
Mosquito
repellent.
propellant.
their kids
Yeah.
are bears.
Yeah, and so
imagine.
they haven't had any bear attacks for like forever.
So it
But
must have
personally-
worked.
Yeah, personally, I think they should allow bear spray in there. I think it's a recipe for disaster. Sooner or later, someone's going to get attacked. They only have black bears, but just being in groups, like being with multiple people, is 99.9% of the time enough to deter a black bear. So that would be my next best option: is don't solo hike if you're nervous about bears.
Hot dog pokers.
Yeah,
Or that.
a hot dog roaster. Make lots of noise, but yeah, be in groups.
Okay. Shark bans with a Z. Do they actually work? It's supposedly a shark deterrent. I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, I've done a tiny bit of research into it in the past, and I don't think it's like that effective. I think they can work. I think what they're supposed to do is disrupt the electrical signals, because sharks are really, like, they have ampullae of Lorenzini and they have a lateral line, and because of that, electrical fields are really attractive or disruptive to them. But from what I've heard, it's not like something you should bet your life on. That's really
You just
all I know.
hold it
Right,
out. Is it a
sweet.
wristband?
Yeah.
You just like hold it out.
Yeah.
Like the vibes are high.
Chris Pratt does that in the Jurassic World movies.
It's more
Works
than
just
enough.
fine.
Stops the
I
velociraptor.
feel like if they worked, like seals would be using them.
Yeah.
I feel like if they worked, everyone would have them.
Yeah.
Okay, last 2. What's a time outside or traveling when you felt totally in awe or just very thankful to be there? We're all silent. We're like, that doesn't apply to us.
Someone else.
Crickets.
We went. Our last like tooth and claw trip was India, and we had a couple really crazy
Yeah.
safari. Oh yeah, 2 trips ago. Couple really crazy like safari days where it's just like, man, nice job.
Being in
World.
the
Nice
being
job,
in the
God.
Himalayas,
Nature.
yeah, Like just being in the Himalayas and looking around just felt really surreal to us too. Like this is crazy that we're here and camping. Mike wasn't quite as happy about it as
No, that shit sucked. I will say, scuba diving, every time I go scuba diving, I have those feelings where it's just like I'm kind of in a really special place where I'm like pretty privileged to be able to observe and be a part of that world. So yeah, if anyone has even the slightest interest in scuba diving, I full-chestedly encourage pursuing that.
Okay.
This is going to sound like a little pretentious, but for me, it was just at my house recently. Like it was so beautiful in Western Montana. And we just had we have these long evenings in the summer and the grass is green and it just felt like really peaceful and nice. And it just made me feel really lucky to live here.
That doesn't sound pretentious. It sounds like you're grateful for
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Just gratitude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Last but not least, this was
The most asked question.
the most asked question
By
for
far.
sure. Are you planning any National Park After Dark and Toothy group events or trips? Is this a possibility in the future? And this was asked in about 40 different ways.
I think you two are way better at planning than us three.
Yeah. You're going
So I think if you want to plan something and invite us, we're all for it. I tried to do a big cruise and I feel like it's not working.
I've just been waiting to hear back. You're like,
Yeah.
we all had, so
We
to
gotta
answer
figure
that,
out something.
to answer it is
We should do
yes.
a live show somewhere. Yeah.
That would be really
we
fun
have considered it.
and doable.
Or a trip. Honestly, we both work with the same trip operator. It wouldn't be hard for us to do a
That's
combined
true.
trip.
I think it would
That's
just be
super fun.
Getting
The
the
amount
the
of
amount of
people.
guides we would need.
Maybe someone listening
Yeah.
just has a place
solution.
where they.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anyone have
Someone
a
listening.
basement we can hang out
If
in?
anyone has a cruise ship,
basically.
if you have a cruise ship that we
Yeah,
could
does anyone
borrow
have a
for
yacht that we
week.
could do a private event on?
It's small, intimate
Gathering.
Gathering. Yeah.
300 plus
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. We
That
have,
was
so the
my
answer is
problem
yes.
was-
We've been,
I
working on
wanted
it.
everyone who wants to go to be able to go, so I was maybe thinking too big. I was like,
Yeah.
we need spots for at least
I know.
1,000 people.
We talked to that operator though, and they said we could do a Southeast Asia one that would be cheap, that we could have 100 people at. So it'd be fun to do it with you
Yeah.
guys. So yeah,
Oh. Yeah.
we should talk about it. We'll talk about it more.
we'll talk about it off air. Yeah.
Yeah.
For,
Well,
in
I
the
guess
meantime,
the-
shut up, all you
Yeah.
listeners.
Yeah,
You know?
crazy.
Whoa.
That's so invasive.
Hey, I want you to speak up and
Yeah,
just
we're
tell
just
us
kidding.
what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, do it for us, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do it, but we're just tired,
Yeah.
it's a lot of work planning.
It is.
Yeah. But anyway, all right. Well, that's it. That's that on that. And thank you so much for being here. And
Thanks for having us.
of course, we'll do this. I think we do it once a year. That's our cadence, right?
Yeah.
And we'll have you guys on
Bump that
ours
up.
again soon too.
Okay.
That would be
Or
fun.
maybe
Well, Danielle came on kind of recent, but it's
Yeah, that's
Patreon.
true.
Oh, that was
when she got back from Antarctica in a
Yeah.
fever dream.
Just
Yeah.
it was an easy
Gotta do
one.
that.
You just had to say what animals are cutest.
I don't know. You sprung the bracket on me. I've never seen a bracket before in my life. And I was like, I was supposed to fill this out.
Plus, you had a dead possum on your porch.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that was
true.
trauma.
There's a
Yeah.
lot happening, but
Working through a lot.
yeah. Maybe we can bump it up to once a
You
quarter.
did a good job.
Thank you.
You
Yeah,
Once a
we'll have
quarter.
to have
Let's
you
do
both
that.
on soon.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everyone.
right.
We'll see you next
Yeah.
time.
Thank you.
See ya.
Thank you for joining us again this week. If you love National Park After Dark and want to hear exclusive bonus stories, join us on Patreon or Apple subscriptions. Patreon subscribers have access to our National Park After Dark book club, live streams, Discord, and much more. If you prefer to watch our episodes, video episodes are now available on YouTube. If you're enjoying the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite listening platform. And to follow along with all our adventures, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and X at National Park After Dark.